Hello, families. My name is Greg Fleckenstein. I'm one of the coordinators of youth ministry at St. Elizabeth Seton, and I'm very excited today to take a few moments to talk to you about the gospel for the 6th Sunday of Easter. I want you to use your imagination for a moment. I want you to picture that Jesus Christ, the person, Jesus Christ, is physically before you at this moment. He's here to ask you one question. Do you love me? I don't know about you, but if I'm asked this type of question, I'm going to have some varied responses in my mind. I'm going to be a little nervous at first. Secondly, I'm going to be surprised that my trust, admiration, love is being called into question. And number 3, I might be a little unhappy that there's some underlying criticism here. I hope my mind would eventually drift to the fact that one of the greatest disciples, Simon Peter, was asked this very same question. And I believe that I would answer it the same way. Of course I do, Lord. I go to Mass on Sundays, sometimes daily Mass. I do charitable works where I can. I pray with my family. I want your will to be done in my life. Of course I love you, Lord. Now imagine that there's a litmus test, a clear-cut way for us to know that we love Jesus. That's what our gospel today is really all about. In John 14, we hear not once but twice Jesus say, "If you love me, keep my commandments." Things have gotten a lot more difficult here now, right? None of us are perfect. We're human. We struggle with sin. We make mistakes. How in the world do we love Jesus if we can't practically keep his commandments at all times and all places? We hear, of course, this answer from the gospel today. How do we do it? We are not left as orphans, left to our own devices. We will have an advocate that will lead us, guide us, instruct us, form us, so that we can better love Jesus. That advocate, of course, is the Holy Spirit, the third member of the Trinity. The Holy Spirit is given to us, the gifts of the Holy Spirit are given to us at baptism, and then they're, of course, reactivated at confirmation in a different way. Today, we are asked to call out to the Holy Spirit. Come, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, lead me and guide me in this moment, so that we can be led to love Jesus in a more real way. There was a point in my life, directly after high school, that I went to Bishop Simon Brute College Seminary in Indianapolis, Indiana, near Marian University's campus. This was really the first time in my life where I had learned to call on the Holy Spirit in a very real way. I did not, in my middle school and high school years, love God the way I should. And I knew I needed formed and instructed and led to love him in different ways here and now. When I did pray, calling out to the Holy Spirit, I found myself in situations where I truly knew, some call it coincidence, I call it providence, where the Holy Spirit has opened a door that would not have been opened otherwise. An experience is had that is profoundly different than would have occurred otherwise. I am changed by the situation instead of just living stagnant in the situation. There came a point in my seminary career where I found that I was being called out at the seminary, but I didn't have a concrete reason why. It was just a feeling. Of course, I reached out to the Holy Spirit in this difficult time, and I found my answer. I found, after a lot of prayer and discernment, that in the Catholic priesthood, I would not receive the level of care, companionship, and compassion that I believed that I needed to function as a human being. I knew that the vocation, I could find those things, was the vocation of holy matrimony. At the appropriate time, I left seminary and discerned out and moved on to Marian University's campus for that next semester. The Holy Spirit, when you call out to him, normally doesn't just open a door. He will give you full access to that door. And in quick measure. This happened for me. I moved onto campus, and within a matter of days, I came upon a girl who I knew in passing. We'd been on a sports team together. We had classes together every now and again, who I encountered in a very different way, a very real way, a very loving way. And I knew this is where I was being led and guided. And sure enough, 6.5 years later, my wife, Hannah Fleckenstein, and I are still living out this beautiful vocation. Even today, during COVID-19, I find that the Holy Spirit can still work through a married man with 2 kids. We just have to call out. I found at one day, just sitting in my basement watching a movie with 2 of my kids, that I hadn't called out to the Holy Spirit in a truly meaningful way in a little while. And so I did that day. I did it on a regular basis. And sure enough, my 2 little girls and I were on a walk while my wife was at work. And I came across one of my neighbors who I'm pretty good friends with. Just said, "Hey, how's it going?" And, you get your typical, "Oh, we're doing just fine." I took that at face value, but I knew something wasn't right. So I simply said, "Are you sure everything's okay?" And pretty quickly, I became a social distanced, crying shoulder. That wouldn't have happened had I not reached out to the Holy Spirit to lead me and guide me. I would have just moved on with my life. Are you calling out to the Holy Spirit? Are you looking to be led and guided, formed and instructed to love God more? More importantly, is the Holy Spirit truly a member of your family that is moving you closer to Christ himself? You will not be abandoned. You are not alone. If you call out, the Holy Spirit will be there. Know of my prayers during this tough time. God bless.